Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm actually talking about the new Mortal Kombat film, just titled Mortal Kombat 2. This is a sequel to that 2021 film we got all the way back during the pandemic. That film was released both in theaters and on HBO Max simultaneously. So if you had a HBO Max subscription at the time, basically you didn't even have to go to the theater. You could just stream it for free with your subscription with HBO Max. Obviously, Warner Bros. Has since ditched that plan since they were losing money off of it, but now we're here in 2026 with a continuation of Mortal Kombat, like I said, just titled Mortal Kombat 2. No affiliation with Mortal Kombat Annihilation or those other 90s Mortal Kombat films or anything. This is its own continuity that, continues that 2021 film. But in this film, you guys, we follow a group of fighters that are basically entering a really deadly tournament called Mortal Kombat. And basically, the good guys need another person to add to their team to basically partake in the tournament that we've been setting up for in the previous movie. And so they recruit an actor named Johnny Cage who is really good at martial arts, but he's kind of washed out. He really hasn't had a big film in a long time. He kind of resorts to stunt doubles for most of his action scenes now. But they recruit him because they know of his martial arts ability and that he is really good when put to the test and is able to put his own martial art talent into a fight. And they feel like he'd be one of the better choices for this tournament that they're partaking in. And while the tournament's going on, they have to go up against a really evil person called Shao Kahn. And basically, they find out about this amulet where if they obtain it somehow, they can weaken him and potentially win the Mortal Kombat tournament when it does come time for one of their champions to face him in one of the final matches of the tournament. And so throughout this film, not only do they have to survive all these, really big fights that Shao Kahn has recruited for fighters for his part of the tournament, but they also have to find this amulet, like I said, that can weaken him. And a lot of the other fighters want the amulet too, so it's not going to be an easy task to track this down while these tournament fights are taking place. And so over the course of this film, Johnny Cage also has to realize, what exactly is Johnny Cage right now? What's Johnny Cage in 2026? Not in the 90s, not in the 2000s, not even in the 2010s, but what is Johnny Cage right now? And what exactly, what did these fighters see in him that made them want to recruit him to begin with? And so throughout this film, Johnny Cage has to realize, what exactly is Johnny Cage anymore? Is he just an actor? Is he really still that really good fighter from when he was young? Is he just one of those guys where he has stunt doubles do all the work for him still? So all that happens over the course of Mortal Kombat 2. But overall, guys, I really enjoyed this film quite a bit. I've been a Mortal Kombat film for most of my life. I've played the games and really, really liked that 1995 film from back in the day. Obviously, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, like many others, not a big fan of it. It kind of ruined the franchise for a little while. But then we finally got another film in 2021, and I liked that movie. I didn't think it was amazing. There was things about it that I thought were enjoyable, but I thought by the end of it, if they wanted to do another one, they had to kind of do a course correction and do a couple things differently. And thankfully, now we're here at Mortal Kombat 2, and that course correction did take place. There is some things that they improved upon since the last movie. Some things I'll get into my negatives that I think if we do get a third one of these, that I hope they kind of course correct again and are able to make those mistakes, prevent those mistakes from happening again. And so that's kind of where I'm at with Mortal Kombat 2. I really like the film. Tons of things to like about it, tons of things to recommend about it, but some negatives along the way that keep it from being my favorite Mortal Kombat film. I think my favorite Mortal Kombat film is still that 1995 film with, with Robin Shaw and Lyndon Ashby, I think, played Johnny Cage in that movie, and Bridget Wilson. They're kind of the key three for me when it comes to a cinematic Mortal Kombat movie. But for my positives of this movie, this film is very fun to watch. It's one of those movies where if you like Mortal Kombat at all, if you know even the slightest bit about it, if you know kind of about the startup screens and the character roster and some of the stages that happen in the games, I think you're going to have a lot of fun watching what the film decides to do with the plot and what it decides to do with the fighters. Just a ton of fun to watch. It's also very violent. It's a very R-rated movie easily. Tons of gore in it. So if you really like the way that the Mortal Kombat games are very much rated M games, they absolutely play into that quite a bit in this movie. So it's very fun to watch. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan whatsoever, I think you're going to have a lot of fun watching this movie. For some character highlights in the film, I thought Katana had a very tragic backstory. You really cared that that she succeeded with her goals, that she was able to take down Shao Kahn with all the stuff that he did to her and did to her family, and some really terrible stuff that she did to that he did to her mom and her dad at a very young age. And so, very early on, I think it's even some of the earlier scenes in the movie, we really do kind of learn what exactly Katana went through that made her the character that she is now. So very tragic backstory she has, but you really feel invested in her journey. You want her to succeed. Very likable character too. Um, we even kind of see kind of how she gets the fan with the knives on it and stuff like that. It's a very fun character, and I really liked how they really kind of made a great backstory for her as to why she is the way she is and why she really wants to take down Shao Kahn more than anything for this tournament. Johnny Cage was very funny in this movie. He's played by Karl Urban in the film. And I do kind of like that they went with a more washed out Johnny Cage. It makes him a little bit more relatable. It makes him more down to earth. It kind of strips down the thing that we kind of immediately know about him and makes him a little bit more of a character that has to learn how to be Johnny Cage again, be that big actor with all the action scenes and the martial arts ability. But I liked how Karl Urban played the character. He definitely had a lot of funny one-liners. And then it also goes to my other positive for the character highlights with the character of Kano. I like the way that Kano was portrayed in that 2021 film. And luckily we do get another Kano here that is also very much a comic relief, is able to play off of what he feels about certain characters, how he thinks one character kind of looks like Pennywise, and all this other stuff, and how there's even a scene where like there's these peaches on the tree, and they're clearly in like this hell dimension, and it doesn't bother him that the peaches are from this hell dimension, that there could potentially be something really deadly inside those fruits and stuff like that. So there's things about Katana, Johnny Cage, and Kano that really work for me for the story, and I think those three characters in particular really get a lot of fun things to do in this movie. And then I also thought the fight scenes I thought were very well choreographed in this film. It is definitely martial art kind of fight scenes. It's not just CGI stuff. I do like how Liu Kang and Sonya and Jax and all these other characters you recognize from Mortal Kombat all get really cool fight scenes in this movie. It really does look like they took the time to choreograph them properly. And if one of the characters does die in a very deadly way, obviously they live up to that with the Mortal Kombat name and the Mortal Kombat brand. So great fight scenes, ton of fun to watch in this movie for sure. And overall, too, I do like the amulet subplot they went with. It wasn't just about characters fighting. They really had this whole thing with them tracking down this amulet, trying to better their chances of facing down Shao Kahn at the end of the movie. It really works for me. I also liked how involved a lot of these characters were, whether it was Johnny Cage or Sonya or Katana or Jade or any of them. They really, all of them feel involved in this subplot where they want to get a hold of that amulet just to better their chances of what they want the most out of this tournament. And it does kind of add a little bit more story to this film that the first film probably didn't have as much of. And I thought the subplot very much added to the overall experience of the movie. Another very emotional scene was Liu Kang versus the Kung Lao brother that he has. Kung Lao was kind of brought back to life through this evil spirit, if you want to call it that. And I thought his fight with Liu Kang in the tournament was very... it's almost kind of tragic to watch because, the two of them really did not want to fight each other, clearly. And the only way out of it was for one of them to die and one of them to move on in the tournament. And the way that it was handled, the way that Liu Kang clearly had some emotional stakes going into that fight was clearly represented in that scene of the movie. And so I thought that scene in particular was very effective overall for the film. I also thought the way Raiden was portrayed in this film was better than the way he was portrayed in the 2021 film. In the 2021 film, it just felt like another character added to the roster. This time around, he has a little bit more of a distinct voice. They play into the humor of the character a little bit more. He has more to do with the plot this time around. And I also like how the villainous characters feel kind of threatened by him because he is this sorcerer with this lightning ability. Definitely a better written character this time around. And I just liked overall how the character was written and portrayed for this film overall. I also thought overall this was an overall better film than the 2021 film. I thought that the way that the way it was written, the way the fights were handled, the way the characters were incorporated into the story, all that I thought was significantly done better in this movie. So if you're hoping just for an overall better film than what we got in 2021, I think this film succeeds with that. But for my negatives of this movie, unfortunately, Mortal Kombat 2 has a very digital look to it. Unlike the 2021 film, where they clearly took like real environments and incorporated CGI where needed, this time around it just kind of felt like actors were in green screens for most of the movie, and it just has a very digital look to it. Almost nothing about it feels natural, and not a lot about it seems like real environments that they went to. I'm sure there's a couple of scenes where they, where they recruited Johnny Cage and found him in the convention and stuff like that. I'm sure a lot of that was done in a natural set somewhere. Um, but this time around, it just had a very digital look to it. And I hope if we do get a third film, we do kind of go back to natural environments, actual sets that these actors are acting on. It just has, like I said, a very digital look to it. And for some reason, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way as I was watching the film. Like almost nothing about it felt natural or physically there while they were filming the movie. I also thought the character of Jade, it was kind of hard to decide what side exactly she was on, because there's scenes in the movie where she's helping Katana, and there's just as many scenes where she's helping Shao Kahn with his mission, and then there's scenes where it's kind of a little bit of both, where she's helping Katana, or she's helping Liu Kang, or she's helping one of the good guys, but she's doing something that would benefit Shao Kahn in the long term. And so there's just a lot of scenes with her where I just didn't know what direction exactly they were trying to go in. Was they trying to say that she was loyal to Shao Kahn but was friends with Katana, and so with her being friends with Katana, it was just a very confusing character to watch on screen. So if we do get a third film, hopefully they kind of clarify more if Jade is going to be a friendly character to Katana and the good guys, or if she is working for the bad guys. It just felt a very poorly written way to kind of incorporate her into the story. So hopefully the next time around we do get a character that is kind of more clarified as to which side that she's on in the movie. I also thought Johnny Cage's character arc, though it's there, they have just enough there to make it work. I thought they could have added a little bit more to help Johnny Cage grow as a character in this film. I just felt like by the time the film was over with, for the most part, he is kind of still the same guy that we saw at the beginning of the movie. Some people might like that. For me personally, I like to see my characters grow, learn a life lesson, learn something new about themselves. Um, yeah, for me personally, I just wish that Johnny Cage had a little bit more of a character arc in the film, because the way that it's currently is, it's there, but it just feels like it needed to be embellished a little bit more. And overall, too, I thought the musical score felt kind of forgettable this time around. It really is a pretty forgettable score for a movie. And they have the original themes from the '90s Mortal Kombat films during the end credits, and it just really made me think some more of just how much better the score could have been for this film. Because I really like the way the 1995 film had both a good soundtrack and a good score, and I just can't say the same about this film. I felt the score for this film just felt a little forgettable this time around. So that is one negative of the film I thought that they really could have improved upon, is give this film a better score. And I also thought they could have spent more time with Sub-Zero and Scorpion. They're there. They're more kind of special guest characters this time around. And I just thought more time with them could have been more beneficial, because they do kind of dive into something that was set up in the 2021 film, and how, where they currently are and kind of what's going on with the two of them ever since we last saw them. And, the whole tragic backstories with the two of them. So I thought more time could have been spent with Sub-Zero and Scorpion, just because they really they really were trying to dive into kind of more of where we last saw them, and I just felt like they felt a little shortchanged this time around as far as um, what they are doing in the story and how they're going to help out the good guys, and I just thought more time could have been overall spent with them too. But overall, guys, I'm going to give Mortal Kombat 2 an 8.5 out of 10. It's a really enjoyable film. There's tons of things to like about it. A couple negatives along the way, so if we do get a third film, hopefully they fix those mistakes. But it is an 8.5 out of 10 for me. Really enjoyed the film. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan, be sure to check this film out. I thought it was quite good.